Okay, so part two um, is the application of the fluid art for nails project that I started in part one. My original intention was to apply them later that day after I made them, but I ran out of time, so I stuck them in this binder page as is to keep them pliable. And so I'm taking it out of that. Okay, and hopefully they will still be pliable because I really hate applying decals after they have stiffened. And so you can see that they're mostly still pliable. Now, when you use silicone spray, you generally end up with sort of a film of the silicone on top afterwards, and so I usually just wipe that off with a tissue. And this isn't so bad because I think most of it stuck to my binder page. But did that. And so there are portions where the cells came out great, and I think they'll transfer to the nail. The problem with art on nails is it's such a tiny canvas, so big cells like that one won't really translate to the nail very well. But like here, here, and here, and here, all through there, look pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is cut out the pieces that I like. And I just use some stainless steel sharp cuticle scissors for that purpose, but you can use any sharp scissors that you have and like to use. So I am just going to peel, oops, that off. Okay, so that's what I'm left with. And I generally try to keep about thumbnail size and leave a little extra. So I just sort of eyeball it. And I'm going to cut one there. And cut one there. Sorry if I'm going off the frame. I'm still really not used to doing things while I'm filming. I tend to forget, especially if I stop talking. So Okay. So I could cut out more, but I'm only gonna do the 5 fingers on my left hand today. Occasionally I will do all 10, but it's pretty rare. So what I do to apply these, and I hate applying decals. It just takes forever, and it just, I don't know, they just never look as good as if I just paint them and do other art on them. So it's not my favorite technique, but there's so many cool things like this that you have to make as decals and apply. So it's good to figure out what works for you. And there's various ways of doing it. There's a group on Facebook called Decal Divas with Kimberly, and I've learned some of those tricks from there, especially like sticking them in binder pages to keep them pliable. If you're going to use a clear, use Wet n Wild clear nail protector as the most pliable of the clears. So stuff like that. There's a lot of good hints and tips and tricks there. So what I have figured out works for me is, again, I like them to be pliable. They have to do this, and they're still, a little sticky and tacky almost. And that's the way it works best for me. I'm gonna use this as my clear coat that I'm going to use to stick it on. There's a bunch of stuff you can use, but I got this really cheap in my last El Corazon order. It's supposed to be a fast dry top coat, and it was like $3, but it's not fast dry. It does dry quickly, which I like, but I don't use it as a top coat. I use it as more of a base coat or sticky coat, if anything. So what I do is I apply a pretty generous coat of this. Okay. Then I take whatever it is I'm going to put on, and I will either at the cuticle or at the free edge, I will line up one edge so I have less cleanup to do on this. Okay, and what I'm doing is just smoothing that down as it's adhering to that clear. And I'm sure the heat from my fingers helps it as well. And I just really want that to stick down smoothly. And because they're still pliable, even though they're fairly thick, I mean, you saw how much polish I poured. There are no wrinkles and there are no bubbles in this because it's still pliable. So I just really just rub that in and make sure all the edges have stuck and that the clear coat has dried, because you don't want it to still be moving around. So then what I do is I take these cuticle nipper thingies and I carefully cut off the excess off the free edge. And oh, did I go off camera? And the sides up to my nail. On that side I lined it up pretty well. So, and then what I do is I take a tool like this, and I don't even know where I got this. I've gotten a bunch of things, but this says Bone, B-O-A-N, and it has a little detail brush on one end and this thing on the other. You can also use something like this, which can be used to just sort of push in the edges into the side wall. And for me, I prefer this over like the cuticle scissors or the or any other type of scissors, or even those nippers, because I can really get right where I need to. Whereas with any other tool, your skin gets in the way and then you're afraid of cutting yourself and a lot of other things. So that's just what I prefer. And this also works as well, and you just figure out where that edge is and just press and cut off the excess and cut off that excess. So so that you have very little cleanup to do with acetone after you're done. So I am going to finish the rest off camera, and you will see the finished product. But that is what I do.